Elden Ring GB is a brief experiment created by Shintendo. It's playable in a browser or available to download for your Game Boy emulator of choice, absolutely free. A point this creator really wants to drive home on the website that I've linked in the description. Some people still don't seem to get it. He encourages fans to support his next original project instead of donating money, which is admirable, yet some still don't seem to understand. Follow him on YouTube for updates. He's very transparent about what he's currently working on, with frequent YouTube videos posted. Check him out. From Software's Elden Ring has been heralded as the biggest thing since edible Shabriri grapes, and I can see why. While streaming it upon release in its entirety, I immediately, prematurely, lauded it as the best video game ever created. Unfortunately, similarly to the company's first multi-console supposed masterpiece Dark Souls, it starts off strong before devolving into a repetitive, underdeveloped slog. Others consider Dark Souls their magnum opus. I, on the other hand, simply think Demon's Souls and Bloodborne are their true triumphs, devoid of late game disappointments. For my money, those tighter, comparatively linear adventures stick the landing in a way Dark Souls and Elden Rings don't. And yes, I know this footage is in a lowly 30 FPS. Still, FromSoft have pushed the open world formula forward, and it's still my favorite game of 2022, with Infernax and Tunic sitting closely behind. Atari 50 also deserves a shout out as one of the best compilations ever made, but that's not why you're here. No one cares what my best of list looks like, so let's get into Elden Ring GB. Your ears aren't deceiving you, there is no music after the title theme, but that's fine, it suits the gameplay. Sometimes it's nice to roll around, occasionally tussle with 8-bit versions of your favorite enemies, and explore in silence, a chance to catch up with your thoughts.
Oh yes, tarnished are we?
If it's as intolerable for you to listen to those horrible demons within your broken brain, this could be a good chance to get up to date on your favorite podcast or give that album a listen that has been sitting on the shelf. Unfortunately, you'll likely only get halfway through your choice of background noise because Elden Ring GB can be easily beaten in less than 30 minutes. Compact interpretations of the Precipice of Anticipation, Northern Limgrave, and Stormvale Castle are showcased here from two different perspectives. The majority of the game is played from an overhead perspective, like Link's Awakening on the Nintendo handheld. There's also a brief side-scrolling sequence that controls similarly to the platforming areas in that Zelda title. I dig it, but wish it had been fleshed out a bit more. The same could be said for this entire bite-sized package, really. It's more of an interesting oddity than anything. There are a few branching paths and items to collect, but even if you're aiming to see all that's in store, you'll still be in and out in under an hour. One episode of The Love Boat. This is why it's so puzzling that people continue to ask for the physical version. Shintendo isn't misleading anyone. He knows what this thing is, and that it's a tiny little experiment to be enjoyed on a work break or lazy Sunday morning. It's a novelty, and that's quite alright. I enjoyed it well enough. Now, where do I send my money? The controls are tight, but I do think the dodge roll looks a bit silly and tends to feel unwieldy at times. Avoiding attacks from the game's big bads can feel floaty from the overhead perspective, and your little dude spins. He spins so far. The combat is serviceable, but ultimately, it's less snappy than I would have hoped. Even with the limited face buttons available, I think this could have been improved. It doesn't ask a lot of the player, and enemies have limited move sets to account for the restrictive 2-button layout, so perhaps this is the best that could have been done in a pinch. I mean, it did take this developer less than a year to pump this thing out, so there's that. I'll say the side-scrolling combat during the final encounter feels pretty satisfying. Go out on a high note, I suppose. All in all, this is a terrific little time dump. The NPCs, bosses, and common enemies are charming to look at. They're adorable little versions of their modern-day counterparts, so please, where can I buy my physical copy? Oh, right. Follow Shintendo on YouTube to see how he created this proof of concept. I kinda just wanted to take the time to get the word out about this thing, while simultaneously shoehorning my brief Games of the Year list. Next time on this channel, another fan-made video game for an old Nintendo console, because Nintendo is God. The big N is everything. Without them, no one would watch any of my videos. Nintendo is the only company in the business that matters to real gamers. You love Nintendo, and so do I.